In today's video I have a couple of Sansui components here, an amplifier and the tape deck to go with it. Not sure what's wrong with these, but they're both meant to be faulty. Don't think they're anything too special. The amp is fairly heavy, so it's not too bad I don't think. Tape deck's got at least a broken door on it, some rattly bits inside. I guess we should probably start with that. I guess these are sort of early 90s or something. Oh, the door opens just from swinging it around. Doesn't look to have any sort of particularly high-end decks or anything in it, just probably some generics. And it seems like there's a few pieces of them floating around in there. And quite a plasticky unit really, but they weren't too bad, this sort of era Sansui stuff. Ooh, there goes some pieces, probably bits of the door no doubt. Yeah, I can see the broken remains of the door there. There's another piece if I can actually get hold of it. And there's another bit. And that's it, I think. So they've basically broken the... Where's the actual ejector on this thing? Broken one old side, the pivoting part off it by the look of it. Are these the older Tanashin mechanisms? They might be, I think. The non-auto stop ones, or the partial auto stop, sort of auto stop on play. Yeah, I think that's the one. It's got the pause under the thing there, under the capsule where they used to want to break. Not sure it's the exact mechanism, but it's something like that. And the cord's been cut off, of course, and got some sort of system control. Should have had a cable. And we're on the 220 volt side of things, 220 to 240. Something under license from somewhere in Brussels, that's Dolby. This is a D900W, 13 watts. Made in Korea, so yeah, there you go. It's a rebadged job, I guess. Not probably genuine Sansui, a D900W mainboard. What's the model? It is a D900, but whether it could have been made by someone else. I wonder if this has got Daewoo caps or something in it. It could well have been made by one of those companies. It may well be a proper Sansui design that was just made in Korea. Bit of an older one with just a little circuit board upright like that, and plus a separate sort of power board with some of the connectors on it. Really don't see much point in making it that way. Surely that board would have been easier just to flip down and have as part of one whole main board. Then we've got a board there and another board, quite a large board, I guess with LED level meters and stuff on it. Dolby noise reduction. So it's not a particularly high-end deck, because it doesn't even have metal or anything by the look of it, unless I've missed that. High speed normal, yeah, it doesn't even have a metal selection. That is a pretty low end for a proper hi-fi sort of brand. Normally they should have at least that on there. And yeah, typical sort of Sansui design. A lot of their stuff has this sort of bottom cover like that, so it's quite likely at least partially designed by them. Someone been in here soldering and stuff, sure looks like it, but possibly on the, it's in front of the transformer, oh, the big rectifier and little caps there maybe. So here's our cord, it's clamped in of course, soldered to the board. There's a couple of fuses, I can tell that. Transformer, it must be the power switch, must go back to the board. What brand's that cap? Does look rather Daewoo-like, but I hope I didn't just make a dry joint on that. Don't think so. Sort of brown cap, oh yeah, Daewoo caps. So this may well be some Daewoo thing rebadged like that TIAC one, but yeah, it certainly Wasn't really the heyday of tapes. A lot of them, like I say, just included a cheap deck with the system, just because you kind of had to have it. Often these systems wouldn't even have a turntable included without being an optional thing, but pretty much everyone wanted a tuner, a tape, and a CD player by then. Actually, I've got a Sansui CD player. I wonder if it's related to this system. I don't think it's too big to... Certainly a deeper one than the rest of this system, but it may be related to this era. I think it's got a different badge on the front. No, it does have the same sort of badge. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe I already have a CD player to go with this system. Okay, see what it actually does. If it powers up, no indication of anything. We do have a light on. Ah, I didn't notice that before. Pretty sure that wasn't lit before, so if we've got an intermittent... I mean, those fuses aren't sitting in the best. Do we have an intermittent issue? Pretty sure I didn't miss that. I might have to look back on the camera. Maybe I missed the fact the light was on. I've got a motor sound, but no... Ooh, that's seized up. That's got a weird solenoid. Ooh, what the... I think these are Tanashin mechs. Oh, that capstan didn't want to turn, but it does if I give it a shove, sort of. What is going on there? Did that just turn a bit? Yeah, it's trying to turn, and then you shove it, and it turns. Oh, here it goes. It's finally... And it's making something rattle around here. I don't think these are the Tanashin mech I thought they were originally. This one is locked by something. Seemingly. There's something. Yeah, so yeah, making that noise in play. So we've definitely got deck faults in this thing. I'll be interested to see what sort of mechanism this thing's using. Now, how do we actually get the two halves apart? Is the next issue. They always had a weird way of doing their cases. Sansui, so that is loose there. How does it come off the front? So, oh, you just slide it out. There you go. Do we want to... Yeah, this is not a nice one to work on really, because it's got all these weird boards hanging around. It's not going to unclip. I think you've got to pull that. Yeah, pull that bit there out. Yeah, then you can lift it. Wow, this is actually an odd one. So to even get to these mechs, it's not going to necessarily be very easy. Oops, I just bent that a bit, I think. Are the screws in there, or does this whole unit lift off? What a weird design. Well, I hope Sansui didn't come up with that. We've got a lot of Sanyo chips. They got Sanyo on them, LBs, there's LCs, LC, LA. So they're all Sanyo stuff. LC on the back ones, even though they're just CMOS chips. What sort of motors we got here? I'm not even sure what they are. M34W. A Mitsumi. Yeah, I don't remember seeing these particular motors, or maybe I just never had to replace them or something. It looks like this board's designed to actually fold down. Probably got to remove that earth wire for a start. And maybe unplug some stuff. How much can we unplug? Yeah, I think some of these connectors do come out, but they're on little hingy bits. I think you're going to have to unplug this board to some degree. That's a lot of connectors really. That wiring all goes... You almost have to unplug everything, I think. Get rid of that cable tie, might help a bit. So the mechs, you have to get rid of a few cable ties, I think. So that should be a wire. Where on earth does that one go? That's the erase, goes all the way to this. It's going to be real fun, I think. Just the amount of connectors you've got to keep track of. So, and a lot of them are 2 pins. And they don't want to come out. That's, I'd say, an erase head because it goes over to near a bias oscillator looking thing. How do these connectors come out? They don't want to come out. Oh, they're little, looks like they've got clips on them. Little square holes that help hold them in. Yeah, that's it. If you squeeze that out, you get them out. So we've got one erase head, another one over here. Problem is we've also got wires of the same colour wires. So grey one right on the corner, red, black, near the little IF cans in there. There's a lot of those too. That's rather odd. And we've got a red, black and grey. It goes somewhere else. One red, black near the voltage regulators there. Yeah, release. I think I'm pressing the right thing. That's it. Another white grey comes all the way over here to near the RCA sockets. That should start freeing things up, you would think, but hasn't made any real difference. That probably doesn't matter. So there's another grey white here. Oh man. Maybe that'll allow it to move a bit more. Yeah, a lot of same type 2-pin connectors everywhere. I'm going to have to get rid of that grey white, which goes it's just going to be hard to work out which one's which, I think. Might have to start marking them. I'll call that one 1. Now we're getting there now. Maybe I have to take those other 2 out. Call that one 2, that one 3. Oops. Didn't write that very well. I mean, I fancy using so many small connectors when you could have just used one connector for the lot. I mean, I'm sure that would have been added labour at the factory and stuff. And that's 3. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Good enough, I think. If I unplug too many of those things, I'll never work out where they all went, probably. I guess I could keep numbering them, but let's see if we can get this thing off the front. This one's got some sort of spring. Is that just the eject mechanism? I hope so. Spring going to something black plastic, but hopefully part of the mechanism. There are switches all over the place. That one's got 3 different switches and a solenoid. That one's got 4 switches and a solenoid. Maybe the solenoids are some sort of auto stop or something. But yeah, can't remember the last time I worked on a Sansui tape deck. I don't think they did. They must have made some earlier ones, but they had earlier amps, but I just don't seem to see Sansui tape decks around very often, even whether late or old. No, this is a Tanashin mech. Something 88, 10, 15. Could it be as old as 1988? I mean, it might be. I'll have to look this model up, but these seem to be a Tanashin. They got the little auto stop thing there. I was going to say from the front they look very much like one. Same sort of idler assemblies, but someone's tried to add in some extra stuff, I think. I wonder if I should undo those screws and get rid of that bracket with a circuit board. Yeah, you don't normally see Tanashins with all that extra stuff on them, and there's all these, we've got extra switches here, so it goes to show you could add more features to them, I guess. But do these, I'm sure, is it just these holes looks like it's got a big sort of gap here that, I think it was just because they had this weird bracket on there. It looked like a different hole to usual. Yes, a dual speed Mitsumi motors, which I think are M34Ws. DC 12 volt, counterclockwise, 1600 and 3200 RPM. Which I think is a different speed to some of the other motors. But I assume these mechs, we have to use the same speeded motor each time because you've got the same capstan and stuff. Well, I assume you do. So this has got the, or should have the dual belts, shouldn't it? Oh yeah, I see the second, it looks like the second belt's disappeared on both of them, strangely. Where does it go? Oh, it goes to the capstan, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right, there should be a second belt underneath. If these are like the, what is it, the 21, TN21 mechanism from Tanashin, then there should be, yeah, two belts in it. The outer one from motor to capstan, then the inner one from capstan to reels and stuff, to the idler here that does the reels, and that second belt's missing on both. Looks like in that one I can see a piece of it still there. So I assume it's turned to goo, or has it just broken? But oh no, I've stuck it to the other one. Well, they're both going to have to be replaced if one's, oh yeah, it's turned to goo. Odd for one belt to turn to goo, not the other, but maybe the others are a bit gooey because they were having trouble running. Yeah, that one will not turn, but is it just because the belt's stuck? That's what I'm starting to wonder. And no, those outer belts are fine. I wonder if this has got gooed up belt on it or something. That's probably why it's behaving like it is. Yeah, definitely going horrible, those belts. I think I can still work on this. It's just going to be a little more difficult than usual. Let's get those belts out. I don't tell me this belt's going around some wiring here. Some wiring, it's going around all of it, I think. Oh no, they're just those loose plugs. So those plugs had to come off anyway by the look of it. One of them. They should be the same size belts. And I guess all I really need to do is pop the capstans out with our little plastic clips. There's the split. There it is. So if we go on the opposite side of that, makes it a bit, probably should face it a better direction. Go away, connector. Let's hope I can get them all plugged back in. That screwdriver does not want to play a ball, is it? Bigger than the usual one? Oh, it is actually. That's why you want the really fine one. that does not want to come off. Weird. Oh, something moved just then. It's coming, I think. What is it doing? It's gone weird. Something weird's going on with that clip. I have to try not to shoot it across the room somewhere. It's come in the end. Oops. Try and sit it on something where I can find it. Let's have a look. Is there another washer under that? I think there is. What's that part of the mech? That's definitely moving. Weird thing is I can't seem to grab it. There it is. So there is a washer on the front. You want to save that off because that'll disappear. Ah, look at that lump of goo on it. And the whole thing's gooed up. No wonder it didn't want to turn. And so it's stuck to this lever. I don't know if I can even show that. There's so much rubbish in the way here, but there's a lever from the solenoid which seemed to be interfering with things. I guess we'll have a look at that a bit closer. So I've got a little red solenoid here and this lever coming down, and then right about here where the tip of the screwdriver is, we have a big lump of black goo on it, and that's the little pause thing that breaks in these things sometimes. So not the easiest thing to see, but there is a lever here that I should push out, and of course red wire right in the way. Go away. So you can see that bit of black stuff there just moving back and forwards. I think that was, and that's what's stuck to the, where are we? The capstan. There's a bit still in the actual pulley there, this black bit, and that great big blob of it getting out towards the rim there, and I think that was stuck to this other bit and just so badly that it wouldn't even turn. So I'll take this other capstan out as well at the same time and give them both a clean, I guess, because no doubt this one's going to be very similar since I've only seen a tiny part of the belt off this one as well. Did that just come off? It did. That's how they should go. Oh no, it fell through the bloody hole. Landed on my finger, and then I lost it again. Little buggers always have a way. At least the other washer slid up the shaft this time. That's what I wanted to do last time. But yeah, straight down that little hole it went. Luckily landed on my hand, so that was just pure luck. And yeah, this I can see some lumpy stuff on the back of it. It won't even come out. Come on. And that's got some coiled up. You can see bits of belt. That's belt, goes right round, and that's like, yeah, wrapped around multiple times, or 2 or 3 times, and so I think there's 3 bits of it there and a couple of bits there. Hopefully some of this will peel off, but yeah, only just. Sometimes if you can just jiggle it a bit, you can sort of get the worst of it without having to wipe it all out. No, now we're just going to goo. Probably won't have to get the screwdriver in and scrape it out anyway, so there's a nice bit of it. Get that on some paper towel so I can get rid of it completely. So I think I might as well just scrape out the worst of it, the chunky stuff. That's really weird to have one pair of belts gone but the other ones right next to them are fine. I'll have a look at those ones again, but they seem to be okay. Certainly not gooey like this. Very weird. So that's, I always assumed it was something that happened to, you know, like environmentally to the tape deck, the conditions it was kept in or whatever, and certainly not being used was one of the factors. But how can like a pair of them in the tape deck go and not the other pair? I mean, is that an issue with the materials they're made out of? I mean, you pretty much think they would have come from the same supplier at the same sort of time in history. Get that big chunk off there. God, that is, yeah, that is just hard. It's not even proper goo, it's actually reset again. It's like it went gooey and then set hard. Don't think I've ever seen it like that. Is proper rubber still. Very weird. Because usually it just goes to an oil and stays as an oil, I thought, but that one seems to have rehardened, so that's very weird. Time for acetone. And I'll put a bit on the rag, I guess I can get that off with my screwdriver. And we still got to scrape a bit off that other lever with a solenoid attached to it, which is on the back here somewhere. Oh, just so I got most of it in one grab. Oh, we've also got a belt here, haven't we, for the counter. And while it's misshapen, it's not. That's fine. I mean, I probably could tear it. It's a little bit more rubbery than it should be, but they're surprisingly good for a machine where some have turned to complete goo. Let's get rid of that stinking thing. We use a cotton bud dipped in acetone to clean that bit off. It's certainly rather hard, this stuff. It's not as gooey as some of them. And which capstan? That was the really dirty one that went in there. I guess I should try and keep these capstans so that they go back in the same deck as they came out of. I don't know if there's any difference in them. I don't think there is, but just in case there is. And clean that entire groove out where the belt goes, because that is just full of gooey stuff. Ugh, yuck. This never gets much more fun, but thank God the acetone does it quickly. Oh, that's just destroyed that cotton bud. And basically you've got to keep doing it until it's all gone. Until you're not wiping any more out of there. And I've got a bit up the capstan shaft as well. But that's still coming out quite a bit. But it looks like it's just going to be another simple tape replacement trick, even though it's hardly worth it on this deck since the door was busted on one side. But again, it's really just about learning and seeing what we find, because I don't think the deck's really much good for anything. Normally I wouldn't have even touched the thing, but again, it's always interesting looking. It looks like we've got a Tanashin mech with some extras tacked on, so that'll be an interesting, I don't know whether it's something they supplied or whether Sansui got Daewoo or someone to make this thing and told them they want some extra stuff put on. But that's where these Tanashin mechs get interesting, because there's all sorts of extra bits and pieces tacked onto them and different ways of mounting motors and all sorts of stuff, switches that some don't have, and features to get like continuous play from one deck to the other, which I don't think all the dual decks even have, or maybe they have different versions of it and all sorts of weird stuff like that. Get that one a little bit more clean. I don't think it's fully done. I might squeeze one of these right down these cotton buds, just for the final clean of both of them, so you can get it right down in that slot. In fact, I think I'm going to have to use both ends of the cotton bud, because this one's going to destroy the first end, because it does get right down in the V of that thing. Some of them even have a little slot at the bottom, I think, which is what's worrying me. This one looks like it's got a little flat bit right down deep. Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff still coming off that the cotton bud can't get to by the look of it. Probably doesn't matter, but You don't want any residue there if you can help it. There's definitely stuff coming out. I might dip that in the acetone, see if that helps a bit. There's quite a bit in there still, which is not what I want to see. I mean, I'll probably just put some eBay belts in this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's more of just a resurrection for the hell of it. To get a worthless deck going. Give it one more final clean, because there's still black coming off. Just can't get rid of the stuff. I think that's as good as that one gets. That one looks pretty good down in the bottom. Might be a little bit there. We'll maybe dip the screwdriver in a bit of acetone, see if I can get anything out of there. A tiny bit maybe. So I've got that out. Oh, of course, gonna have to clean. We've got to do the other pulley on these capstans, but also got to clean where that belt ran on the idler part. Because even though there wasn't any belt in there, we better acetone it just to see if there could be something still trapped in there. And only a tiny bit of black came off that one. Can't even see the other one. Where is it? Not an easy deck to work on, that's for sure. You would hope a Sansui would be a bit nicer, but that's what makes me think this is a complete rebadge. Be interesting to see if the amp is, because that's a shame if Sansui rebadged some cheaper stuff. I know this thing's still got belt in it. That's got half full of belt still. So that's going to make life a bit harder. Yeah, you can see the end of it sticking out there. Let's just scrape it out, and that's coming fairly well. I did put a bit of acetone on this thing to start with. Maybe that helped get it out in one piece. And yeah, another cotton bud. I guess I'll squeeze the end of that one down and soak it. And try and get rid of any remains in the idler part. Just spinning that little black pulley around. Oh, we've got red paint coming off something. What's that even off? Oh, off the spring there. The acetone is probably dissolving it nicely. Don't know why the spring's got red paint on it, but plenty of black there. Might use that other end to finish my screwdriver off. Clean it up again. Well, I've got some clean cotton bud. And we'll get another one. And just keep going, but I reckon these decks will probably work, but I'll be interested to see what the solenoid does, or what all these extras fit, unless this is a way of adding proper auto. No, they wouldn't add a proper auto stop. It couldn't be cheaper to do it by upgrading to the 21Z mechanism, you would think, with full auto stop on it, because they were available in parallel. I think that's about it. Let's have a look at what else. It doesn't look like it's had any use really. As far as headwear, there's a little bit of dirt on the pinch rollers, but quite a bit of dust on the reels in one deck. I think that's all that's on that pinch roller. It's a bit of dust more than anything, so this has not had much in the way of use, but I'm also give that a clean. Quit cleaning the heads and stuff while they're easy to access. And the capstans still need a clean of the pulley part on that, where the other belt ran, which we know should be free of actual gooey stuff, but still wants a clean. Do the erase head. But yeah, I'd say this is a very low use deck by the look of it. Either that or someone really bothered to clean it, which is pretty rare. And yeah, no headwear. So again, like I said, a lot of them were just put in the system, so that the system had a tape deck, because most people wanted one. I guess if you were going to buy one, you would have bought one because you would have had some cassettes or want the ability to be able to play them just in case. It'd be rare for anyone buying a hi-fi not to have cassettes, I would think, but who knows, by 88 I doubt many people were just going CD that early, but you never know. But of course, like I say, mobile equipment still was usually cassette in your car and stuff, or your Walkman or boombox, and that was the main advantage of them. Everything else I think looks okay on the front. There's still a little bit of dust there, and a bit on the eject lever. So I'm really ready to just I'll just clean out the under the buttons there too on the front panel where there's a lot of dust. And I don't know what we can do with that tape door, probably nothing. We originally had this piece coming down, and that would have, I mean, if you got some plastic welding stuff, you can often fix these things reasonably well. I don't know how well they really last, but that piece used to go on there and around a pin. Could even try fixing, sometimes you can just glue a piece of like I use a cutter, like a stiff spring, and I either drill a hole, or in one half you just can often grab it and just heat it up with a soldering iron, melt the spring into that, drill a hole on the other side, a little tiny hole, and then just put araldite and stick it back together with the spring in there. That'll make it fairly strong. Like, it won't take, probably if someone hits it hard or anything or pulls on it much, it'll snap off again probably, but at least it holds together if it doesn't get any massive shocks. And same with this bit, a couple of pieces of spring in there and some araldite. We can probably have a go and probably can make that door usable again, sort of thing. So I might even do that just for the sake of it. The door should, yeah, I was going to say, it should basically fall out now, which it does. Oh, the other piece is busted off too. That's a bit annoying. I don't think I have that piece, do I? I think I just got the two bits out. Oh no, there it is. There's something else floating around here now. Ah, well, that's handy. So maybe, I don't know which piece came off this one, but that makes it a bit worse because it's broken both sides. Yeah, that was the piece. So yeah, this one's, as far as making it aesthetically look the part again, I think we could probably just patch that up. I haven't got plastic people to plastic weld them and sort of fixes them. If you could buy the whole new door, that would have been the option back in the day. You just order a new one, it's not worth messing around with. But a couple of really old decks, you couldn't get the parts anymore. You just have to warn people that it may not last. I think that's the same one as that one, obviously, straight down. Yeah, I think we'll have a go at that and see if we can effect some basic repairs. Probably good enough to get it going again, but yeah, longevity unknown. I don't know if this is like a standard Tanashin. Problem is I still haven't got one of these decks out or something and kept it out, which is what I need to do so I can compare them side by side. And the other thing I should do is get the measure of these belts so I know what they are and I've got them on hand. So I'm going to go from there to a small bit. We've got 37. That's probably our belt. I'm pretty sure these mechs, they've got definitely extra levers. That's the solenoid part, isn't it? What does that... Is that related to the two decks running together? Must be something like that. Oh, now we need the other belt sizes too. Okay. Time to put the capstans back in. So put the small belt on as we put the capstan back in. So I'll sort of hang that on the thing and stop it getting in any potential grease and stuff, which I don't think there really is any, but keep it off the mech if possible, and then pull that back up under over this pulley of the idler, and that's got it. Then I can put the little washer and the little clip back on. I could if I could find it. Is that on? Yeah, God. Almost impossible to see the thing. Well, these are a lot better than those metal circlips. You can usually just get them straight on, push them down, and they lock in. Push it back and forwards a bit, make sure it's there. Rotate it, make sure it looks like it's all in the slot. And we can do the same for the other side. And then fit the other belts. I guess I probably should have put a little bit of oil on the capstans, but this deck probably isn't going to be used again for anything. Depends what I can do with the door, but without proper doors in it, you could never really sell this thing as anything useful. I don't think anyone would want to buy it anyway. It's not exactly a quality deck or anything. I mean, it would do the job if you really wanted a tape deck, but and certainly back in the day, just as a general part of a stereo system, would have been fine, I'm sure. But yeah, kind of odd it doesn't even use metal, have a metal tape function or anything, which would have been a nice thing to have, because even though a lot of people never use metal tapes, they certainly improve sound quality. If you had a few special recordings you wanted to have it higher quality. And that, I think, is spread open a little bit, and that's alright. Again, just make sure that's everything's gone into where it should. I think that's alright. That one has spread open a little bit. Yeah, it's on. But they're spinning fine, I think. Idler's spinning with them. I should be able to pretty much put these back together now, even though I've got one door off. I might just temporarily screw them in place. Oh, and the counter, I haven't put the counter belt on. I guess I should put that on just so we can see if that works. That would come from the take up reel, and now just which side of it does it? Probably goes either side of the eject lever, does it? I'm going to go under that plastic bit. Oh, there's a second. No, it's got a second pulley. That's an odd design. So try it again. Either side of the eject lever there. And so under that pulley, I think. Does it even touch that pulley if I do that? Oh yes, sort of, but I think it's hitting on the ejecting, isn't it? I think it's alright, but that's, yeah, right on the right sort of length. So that other one must have been very well stretched. Which isn't surprising given some of them are going to goo like that, but it didn't feel that bad. I'll just put 4 screws back in. Just to hold things back together so it can be powered up again. And so that I can press on the buttons and stuff without too much movement of things. So now we want to put our other belts on. Probably best to try and hook them. Geez, they don't make it easy, do they? Hook them under the motor and get them on the motor pulley. Maybe I can just jiggle it into place. I can see the pulley. Oh, are we on it? Ooh, I got it. Oh well, wasn't as hard as I thought. Didn't look easy, but it went on no problem. But yeah, I can barely see that one. At least this one I can probably, if you just sort of fold the belt a bit, hold it together a bit and make a little loop there, you might be able to just bend it up onto the motor. Problem is you've got a motor shaft coming out the other end of the pulley, you've got to get under that, and it's hard to see a thing. Okay, I'm going to have to push it in further. Oh yeah, now let's lift it up where I want it, and gotcha. Beautiful. And they both spin freely now. Now I can't remember where all the connectors went. I probably should have labelled a few more of them, but we'll see. Yeah, we've got that little earth wire there I better put back on. I don't know if that was a particular type of screw head there. You had to hit something, didn't you? Oh, that was one of the case screws, I think. That's why it's all grotty looking. Not that it matters that much at the moment, but still. Try and put everything back where it should go. Okay, that gets that earth wire out of the way. That's one fiddly thing sorted. Oh, they just sit. It doesn't seem to want to go back up, because probably because wires are pulling on things and stuff. Quite a flimsy sort of design. That one I know went in the corner. There should have been another one. It should be that one, I assume. It's not numbered. Went in there. That, oh yeah, the red and grey went over to the other board, I think. That's number 2. Yeah, 2, 1. Where's one go? There. And I can see another one hanging down here. There's always one trying to hide, so that you put the thing back together without fishing it out. This board just is hanging in a weird position. I think we had these ones with washers in here. Oh, there's a metal bracket somewhere, wasn't there? Oh, that went from, oh, that might have been, that went under that earth wire, I think. Anyway, as long as I've got that earth wire, so I know where it's at. It always pays to get things like that under control. Now, the question was, which one of these went where? One of them went near the power supply, and I think it was the red and black. I might have to go back and check that on the camera. Although that one fits. Sometimes you can sort of tell by when you put the wires back which way the plug faces, and to me it looks like the grey goes there. No, they're both the same anyway, so that won't matter. Oh, I stuffed up there a bit. Pretty sure the red went there and the grey went there, but I'll have to check that. Should have numbered those ones. Yeah, so it was red, black where I thought, and grey where I thought, so at least still best to check it rather than stuff it up. Probably should have marked at least one of those two, but I think we're safe to plug this back in and see if we get anything. Power on. Yep, A-deck, pinch roller, reel. And yeah, it looks like those solenoids and the levers, extra levers, these have got attached to the pause button, so I assume it's something to do with the dual deck. That should be play, except I can't, it's moving around too much. Doesn't want to lock down. Oh, yeah, I think it's just the mech flexing in the case, because I haven't got the screws on this end. We've got take up reel, fast forward looks good, rewind looks good. Yeah, if I hold that a bit, it's fine. That's why they've got to put a lot of screws in these things. Yeah, it just pushes the mech back a bit in the middle. That works. Pause seems to work. Record seems to work. Oh yeah, we've got a record light on. Oh well, hook some sound up to it and see what we get. Hopefully something decent after all that work. They like orange on this. It's got an orange VU meter, at least at the bottom end. So I don't know if that means it's red at the top. Something's still making a little bit of noise in there. Sounds a lot better without the Dolby on. This one we're just going to have to work with no door on it. Ooh, that doesn't sound too good. Yeah, that one sounds terrible, like the azimuth is out or something. Which side? It should be that side, but let's just check where the spring is. It's over there. Let's get that head wire out of the way. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like anyone's loosened the screw off. Can't even tell where the best spot is. It's rather dull sounding. Right about there, that's as good as it gets, I think, which is not very good. Gotta hold this mech in. Oh, much better. That deck is making a funny noise. I can see something spinning around on one of the gears there, and it just transferred to the reel. But it does make the noise without the tape there. And as soon as I touch that, put some torque on it, or tension on it, something's clicking in those gears. Oh, it just moved across again, whatever that bit of white stuff is. That's so weird. It's spinning around on the rim of things and it swaps from reel to idler gear occasionally. That idler gear assembly or something's got a noise in it. One of the gears is certainly not the greatest. But so we've got some sort of head issue in this other one. Well, that head does look a little corroded or something, but whether that's the issue, I'll give it another clean. Doesn't take much to upset the poor things. Maybe it just has some extra hard to clean stuff on it. Yeah, there's a little bit of something coming off it. But it's not your normal orangey stuff, it's more yellow. Still got some dots and stuff on the head, so maybe it's a bit corroded or something. I think that's better. Well, I had the azimuth pretty much perfect even without being able to hear it properly. That's more similar. So yeah, I think that still had some muck on it. It still doesn't look 100%, but there was definitely something came off it. So even though I cleaned it, it didn't take off whatever that was, so I must have something really coating it. Now, reset the counter. Should have put those screws in, or at least one. sounds a lot better quality than that recording I made. Yeah, it sounds pretty much the same as the other deck now, so that's good. Okay, let's reset that, hit record. We haven't got any, oh yeah, here's the level. That's just all orange. Probably that's a little high. Oh no, that's the 0, that's alright. Yeah, pretty crazy this all orange level meter. I think it's only got 5 LEDs in it anyway, but look at it on each channel. I don't think we heard the music while I was recording, did we? How weird, you can see the level meter, but there's no sound coming out. That's weird. Because I was going to say, what am I actually recording here? That must be that old hits of the 70s and 80s or whatever. I did a pretty decent job of recording, I think. But it'd be nice to hear the original so I can actually compare it, but I've never seen a tape deck that doesn't actually put the music through. Very weird. Now the other thing I want to try, we've got dubbing on and off, high speed normal, okay, pretty standard. So I think if we press pause and play on that, pause and play, hold it and press play record on that, we go to dubbing on, does nothing. Oh, turn the power off, that won't help. Okay, we've got both decks on pause, and taking that one off does nothing. Taking that one off, nothing, normal dubbing. So what do these things do? Is there some other way? Okay, let's try just going into play and it plays. With dubbing on, doesn't care. I'll have to look up to see what that function's meant to do. So why has it got a second cassette switch? Oh, that's the record tab, I guess. No, wrong side, isn't it? It is. Hold on, there's a mechanical record tab. Tape in sensor. Oh, maybe it's got auto metal or something. Have we got record level? I don't see. That's a possibility, I guess. Maybe it does have automatic relay play. Oh, relay play. Dolby noise reduction. So this is relay play. So, oh, in other words, I think I know what we got. We need to tape towards its end. You probably put this one on pause and play. Ready to rock and roll. Let's use a short tape. I think when this tape hits its end, it should take the pause off of the other one, maybe. Oh, let's try playing this. And dubbing off. Except these decks don't even have auto stop on them, so how does that work? I should have auto stop in play mode though, shouldn't it? So that's not working. Come on. Well, it didn't.
Tonight, the winds about.
Didn't take the pause off. Maybe we hit play on both. So we've got to screw the mix in. Stop breaking my balls. Okay, that one's not running. So that deck isn't running. Even though I press play, this one is, and I'll probably rewound it a bit too much. So hopefully when that one hits the end, although the auto stop did. But either way, if we can force it into auto stop, I guess. Oh, come on, how far did you rewind? Normally you take all, there we go, I can see the leader coming through. That one starts. So it's just in the play mode, it holds it off playing. So if I rewind a bit, play on that one, press play on this one, and it's not doing anything. If I flick that solenoid, nothing happens. You'd think that would make that one start. Let's see if it flicks at all. The solenoid does nothing. It just starts, so it's like it's turned the motor off to that deck when that one's running. Okay, I'm none the wiser. It's the usual story, there's a heap of features in there and I don't know what any of them do. So that's more like a kind of series thing where if one motor's on, the other isn't. So maybe that's why in dubbing mode, if we play record, play, would help if it wasn't at the end of the friggin' tape. So if I put that into play record with pause, that one in play record with pause, and we're not on dubbing, and I let both rip, they can both run. Well, that's crazy, because that, if I now press play on that one, it shouldn't run. It doesn't. But if I hit record, it does run. So there's obviously those switches know when I'm in record mode or something. Okay, so I'll have a look at this door now and see whether I can do something to fix it. Even though it won't be as strong as it should be, ideally we can probably get some life out of it. So what I like to use is some of these old straight springs. That one's probably a bit bigger than needed. This other one here looks about right, except it's all hooked up in the other one, isn't it? Yeah, something about that sort of diameter. I used to keep a lot of springs out of old, well, things like cassette players of course, and whatever else. Managed to fix a couple of car doors in the old Falcons with broken springs just by finding something out of a collection like this and taking a few turns off to replace the broken one, rather than having to wait and get in through the passenger door and go to town and get one and stuff. So it's made life a bit easier. But these sort of bits of metal about that size, which is, I don't know, what is that, 0.5 millimetre, maybe a bit more, they're the ideal thing, just a straight piece. Sometimes you can just melt them in. I'm going to try and avoid using my side cutters to cut these since it's pretty hard metal. I'll use some of the old tin snips and just pointing it well away from your eyeballs when you do. Under the bench is a good spot, although God knows where it'll end up in something. I think I often just used to melt 1/2 in there. I guess ideally you'd probably glue it in there. If you just heat this up, get a bit of extra solder on the iron to transfer the heat better, and of course be a little bit careful because you're holding the other end of it, which you probably shouldn't really do, but I like to live a little dangerously occasionally. Let's see if we can get that to melt in there. I think it might be better off drilling this one, it's taken a while. Yeah, usually the plastic melts a little easier than this. Oops, I'm going too far to one side. So that wasn't very successful. I think I might drill it. So obviously if we're going to use a spring that small, we need to drill that small. And that's probably close, so you need like a little PCB drill. I really like to put 2 pieces into the door part here, but I kind of need to mark them or something so that I'm just even holding it while you mark it, so that I drill them in the right places. I guess if I kind of go on an angle, can I get that to work? Yeah, I think that worked. Now I've got to get that one lined up while I mark a second one. I probably could actually drill one of them from the outside even. Did that work? Not quite. That upper one is in the wrong spot. It's about there somewhere. So if we try and drill in the right in the middle. Well, I think we're going to remove some of that plastic as we go because it was starting to melt last time. Not sure if I quite got the angle where I wanted it, but doesn't matter too much. We can put it in and bend it a bit anyway. It's Makita again. And did I get pretty? I got pretty central. Very hard to get exact, especially since the drill bit tends to move a bit like it just did then. I wonder if it's when you speed up that it starts clogging up. That might be the problem. Probably getting too warm. So that should work. Check that we can actually get the spring down in there. Yep. No problem. So I mean, this isn't going to come up perfect probably, but get it as good as I can and then see what happens. Yeah, oh, so that one's the one that ended up going right through quite easily. I was thinking of drilling the other one in. Might have been better to clamp them together and just drill right through in one motion really, but yeah, when you can get it out the other side like that. Didn't get that one real straight, but hopefully that will be good enough. I'll just undo this whole spring a bit and straighten it out a bit. Not sure what length I even need, but oh, a few bends in it probably make it stay in there a bit better anyway. A bit more friction. Don't know how well these are going to line up, but I guess all I can do is put them in and hope for the best. And I guess just again cover those bits and the end of the plastic. That's actually good because they sprung a bit apart. Oh, that ended up pretty good. Unfortunately, one of them's bending that way a bit. How do I fix that? Don't know if it matters that much, but it probably does a bit. I wonder if they both need bending. Ah, that fixed it, I think. I just pull it out and bend them a bit, and that's largely it done. That's pretty good if it can stay there somewhere. I've got this thing back in pieces again, got the door all glued back together, hopefully strongly enough to at least get it back in without breaking it. And what have we got? We've got a spring here that has to sit onto that bit, I think. Don't know why it's got a hook on the end of the spring, because it doesn't seem to use it, and then these two bits should just clip onto the... I wonder if I can hold that up. Can that clip onto that plastic bit maybe? Oh god, if it comes off it's going to hurt. A bit like a mouse trap hitting you. So we come in through there, and something else is catching. Oh, we've got to get this little... Oh, I might even take that off. I wonder if I can get that'll help a bit. Get this geared slower downer of doors out of the way. Because getting that out of the way I think it's going to help quite a bit. But unfortunately I've got to basically push these bits onto these two pins, which is of course the two bits that were broken. Well, that one, did that already go on? No such luck. So this is going to be working. I wonder if I can at least sit one of them in. Well, that's the other option, I guess, is try and get them in sideways onto the pin. Now, which was the broken... Yeah, the one that was broken at the whole piece was broken off. If I can move that in sideways, no guarantees. Yeah, that went on. I don't think we can really flex the other one, but we might be able to. But of course if I push on this one, it's also going to push on the other one. So kind of undoing what I'm trying to do. Which is oh yeah, I got that in I think. Oh, nearly. Come on, slid on there. Ah, why won't it go on the pin? Ah, got it. Yeah, if I can, rather than spreading them apart to get onto the pins, I'll just bend them sideways. I may well have done that in the first place, who knows. Now I've got to get this spring, I think. Ooh, man, that just shot forward and missed it completely, I think. Something went flying out. That wasn't the bit of the door it was meant to press on. I don't know what happened there, but that is a very tight spring. So great, all my work, and now I've got to take the bloody thing off again, probably, to get the spring. Well, that's not a real great design, I must say. I thought that would just catch on the bit that it's meant to go on, but that was probably being too optimistic, I guess. It's got so much force, there's no other way you can do it, I don't think. Oh damn, it did break the piece off the door. Ah, good design, people. I guess maybe these doors are actually going brittle, because the force of that just snapped it off. Brilliant. So now I've got another issue where I really need to drill into the side here and put some sort of little screw or something there to... How much room we got? Very little, I would say. Yeah, it's almost going to need like a screw head or something. Actually, something like that is perfect. A little Walkman screw. It might drill a small enough hole, or it might be too big for that screw, but... One time I could do that. I'll drill right through the door because that screw's quite long. If that's too long though, it might be. Might not matter if it sticks out the other side a little bit. Oh, it's a bit too tight. I hope it doesn't break the plastic because it's feeling a bit like it wants to. Already coming out the other side. Now the cassette, I think, stops there, so it should be alright, although I think we're alright. I just don't want to stick it too much out the other side. We can always cut it off or file it off or something. But this is the kind of thing you got to do with broken old stuff like this. But I can't believe the spring actually broke it off again. But I probably should have known, given the state of this thing, that it might have been getting a bit brittle. Didn't really. I'm so used to just letting things like that snap back into place. because that's what you used to do. That's still in a swing. Oh no, that's alright. So I could have just dropped it down with the pliers. Would have been a smart thing to do in hindsight. Yeah, it's currently shoots right out because we don't have this thing in place. But so far that seems to have fixed it surprisingly well. I don't know how long it'll last, especially if the plastic is getting brittle. It may well break somewhere else. But this is going to be more probably just a display piece because it's not really good for anything, and I wouldn't sell something with a door like that to someone. I wouldn't give it to them. I mean, it's not like this deck's anything special. Ew, it's staying up. Why is it staying up? Don't tell me there's something catching. Yeah, oh, maybe that's why someone's pulled on it. Is that thing... Something's doing something weird, but it's only when I put that white thing back in place. Ah, so don't tell me the door thing's dodgy. Oh, I've just realised an issue. We've got another piece busted off here. That one sticks out. I don't think that's what the full issue is, because this thing doesn't... Oh, it is starting... No, maybe it's because it hasn't been used. No, so when it's upright... So is that to do, maybe to do... Door admittedly doesn't sit quite perfectly. Well, it's kind of alright, but it's... Yeah, not real good. Even with all the force of that spring. So, looks like that bit, of course I didn't realise, is probably iffy as well. Or could it just be the door's a bit tight on its mounts or something? Like I say, it seems to work alright without this. Moves freely, but that doesn't prove that this thing's faulty. The other option is to put in the other... It feels alright to me. Unless there's some sort of damage or there's something in the teeth. Well, the easiest way is to swap the one from the other side. And that'll prove whether it's the door or the little slow eject thing. So maybe I shouldn't have bothered going any further with this one. Like usual, you live to regret it. And probably should have just pulled the Tanashin mechs out of it and chucked it away. That would have been the smart thing to do. That one doesn't feel like it either, didn't go in, or it's the threads had its day, I think. I don't know, is it? Let's try it from the top. It's still a bit iffy, but it's definitely better. So that door probably isn't sitting quite perfectly straight now, because it definitely, when you bring it up here, when I put my finger on it, it's not too bad. That's alright. I could have sworn that was going in. But yeah, oh man, unless it's the door itself. Is there something in that geared part where the wrong sort of screwdriver? Only got Phillips, only got flats when you need a Phillips, and only got Phillips when you need a flat. Could there be something in there? There's a little bit of blue plastic or something, but yeah, now it's stopped. Yeah, so when I press on that side of the door, this side's a bit slow to go in, but I guess that's probably because I'm pressing on the other side. When I press on this side, it's all pretty straight. So it goes to show it's not the slow eject mech, or not only that. Yes, you can see there it's pulled some of the plastic out of the hole on that side, so that probably doesn't help either. One of the screws won't tighten up properly, because it looks like it's stripped the plastic out of the hole. So this is the wonders of cheap plastic. Like I say, this looks like it's made in Korea, so that's probably the problem. This is much like your Korean VCR of that sort of era, which was pretty junky. Obviously they got better, but their late 80s era stuff was pretty well junk, a lot of it. Yeah, that works absolutely fine on that side. Interestingly, this one works a bit better on this side than the original did, but it's still not right. But that'll have to do, I think. Does the job, gets there in the end. That door definitely doesn't sit quite right, which is not surprising, given I had to glue bits back together and stuff. Something's should have been fairly straight, but it goes to show they're very hard to repair, because if you get an angle or something just ever so slightly out, it'll be amplified quite a bit by the time you get to the door and all that sort of thing. But I think we'll just put this thing back together. Oh, I've got to get this counter built on. It's not much fun getting that in there. That was a bit fiddly last time from memory. Now, did I go either side of the... I forget with the eject mechanism where I had to go. I did make a note of how it went with those pulleys though. And it went under that pulley, and of course under and over that one. Every time I try and get it in there, something moves and it comes off. Is that it? Yeah, I can see the eject thing, and the eject goes up and doesn't hit the belt, so that must be right. Now I need to get all the screws back in the mech, because last time I didn't put the middle ones in and I had a lot of trouble. For some reason this side hasn't set in. That's it. Yeah, great design. So you just got to get those. There's a couple of plastic pins on the front, got to go through little holes in the mech, and they're a bit reluctant to do it by the look of it. Let's try and get the top of this thing in place so nothing else... Get these top screws in so nothing else can slip off or anything, including the counter belt. Turn that on. We've got that little orange LED that I didn't notice the first time. Oh, that's right, that one got a little noisy, didn't it? I should have checked that while I had it apart. But anyway, that's a job for another day, I think. Certainly not one of the easier decks to work on. Okay, we'll try our Academy Award-winning love songs. Turn the Dolby off. Seems to work. Oh, this one had the, just remembered. Whoever's making that noise seems to have increased the wow on that deck. But this one had those interesting extra switches and solenoids in it. Oh dear, now I broke it. What happened there? Put that tape in there and it does not like it at all. What the? Deck's dropped. That one's fine. Ugh, then again, maybe it's not. Oh, how weird. Oh, is it catching on the capstan, I think? Oh, that's so weird. It was fine before. Maybe that's how the door got broken, or how's the door actually? I don't think it's broken. All of a sudden, the cassette won't go in. What on earth? Something must have moved. It's okay with nothing in there. Oh, it's not that plastic thing in there, is it? It looks like it's going about into place. That's probably how that door got busted, I'm guessing. So we've got some other issue. The door's going, the cassette's going forward. Is that the problem? Oh, that one does it as well. But am I going too far? It's sitting forward. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh yeah, there. Okay, so how weird. Just when I change that Phillips, there's something broken off there. I don't see anything. Wow, what a dodgy design. It must, but both doors are both cassette players are the same. That one can go in too far, but it doesn't seem to matter. Oh, that's even weirder. So the tape's got quite a bit of room to move around, but I guess it makes sense that and that doesn't work. Flip it so the bottom of the tape points more downwards, which it doesn't naturally want to do. You can actually hear it making a weird sound when you eject it, so that's... don't think it was doing that before. That Phillips doesn't like to sit in as well. Yeah, like that. Is it catching on the caps? And I was like, what is going on? Because that's just your normal tape tensioning springs. I have no idea what just changed, but I can see some bits of plastic on the... I think that's what it is on the capstan. Let's try. Oh, that's another. Oh, see now this one's doing something weird. This is definitely a pretty dodgy design here. So that one goes in too far on one side. Wow, it just drops down so low that it's hitting on a little metal. Ah, so it's hitting. I see it's meant to land on these little tab. Of course, those little two plastic tabs that stick out. So that should butt onto them, and then it would slide. Well, you'd think it would slide in when it does, and this doesn't. So I've actually got to fit it. I think this door's sitting a bit high or something. It is slightly higher than the other. I wonder if that's enough to... But why didn't it play up to begin with? Yeah, that side I've got a little too high, I think. That would explain it, because it's kind of catching on the capstan, I think. Yeah, if I push it down a little bit... Yeah, no, the door's sitting too high, I think. I wonder why. It must have just been luck it worked at first. So that's the problem. That's why I wouldn't normally repair cassette doors, because this is the sort of trouble you get. Needs a good clean too. But I looked at the manual for this thing. Couldn't find an instruction book for it, which was a pain, because that would really tell you what these things do. But there's two sets of switches. Two of them I think are connected in series to do with fast forward, and two in series to do with play or something along those lines. And then one of those pairs went to a solenoid. But even when I press those solenoids, I don't think they did anything. Oh, I just clicked to what these actually do, because when you press the fast forward down, you can see it. The lever move and then go back in again. Then I thought, what if it actually is magnetizing when you do that? Because I know they're fed through these switches. It turns out it looks like this thing's actually got automatic music search. If we press the two down together, play and fast forward, you can hear it just in the background. Ooh. And of course it clicks back into play when it finds a track. Well, it did. Oh, we're at the end of the tape maybe? No. Well, I think I just broke it. Now that I discovered it, I've broken it already. Now why is that not sitting right? These have got the worst doors in history, I think. Okay. Well, I did. I think I broke it. Fast forward doesn't work anymore. Well, it is a day work. Oh no! Ate my bloody tape. So whatever was clicking, I think I just stuffed it. Whatever was making that clicking sound, I'm assuming it's something to do with that. Has died. Well, I can't blame Daewoo if it's a Tanashin mech. Well, that's handy. Now we've got this problem. I'll try and get that in. What? Delayed action. Okay, this is, well, you discover something and it instantly dies. Now the decks, oh my god, what have I done to these poor things? Completely broken them. Wow. That's just plain weird. Well, I think I destroyed it. Capstan's gone, the motor's gone, but the gears are not turning at all. That is so weird. Yeah, this one's completely destroyed as the... I don't know if the belt's come off or something. I think... oh, it has. Oh, wow. The other one's still on. So I popped the belt off that deck. That one, of course, can't have that one running to do it. This one, the motor doesn't turn now. Well, that's the shortest lived tape deck I've had so far. Or is it because, is it something to do with this one is blocking that one from running? Oh man, that's one problem with adding all these complicated features. Well, they're not really that complicated, but adding all these extra features, I guess we should say. And of course these belts you can't get on easy, because you can't get under the motors to access them. Now I can actually see what I'm doing, so that's the key. So you take the bottom off and should be able to get that. Okay, get that on the pulley. Okay, that's back together. Is that the one that was making that horrible noise? Something clicking and I've got no idea why. Now we're going to get this one over the motor. So it looks like these mechs are actually easy to work on upside down, because they've got those difficult motor brackets that get in the way. Okay, oh, that piece I chucked in there. Now we're back in business. Oh, some bit of plastic just fell out. Yeah, fast forward's back in business. See if this other deck's decided. Ooh. Yeah, it went and then it stopped. It's stopping that one from going. So at least one of the switches is operating. The switches seem to operate, unless it's one of these other, well, they're open circuit. I don't think they only work in series or something, so although one prevents the other one from working, how does that work then? Not sure. So we seem to have the ability to do music search, so if we put it in play and then hit fast forward, we can hear it. And it'll click out at fast forward as soon as that finds an end of a track, which will probably end the tape at this rate. And there we have it. So that's what all this extra stuff on here is for. Yeah, now I can't even get the doors to work. I can't get anything to behave itself. So press play, hit fast forward. So I think that's the first Tanashin mech, especially one of these cheapo ones I've seen with automatic music search. God, these tracks are long, or it's just tape is so slow, it's ridiculous. Halfway, no, it is just that slow. So now we're fading out of that track. God, who has these tapes with such long blanks in them? Another thing I can't stand about these commercial things is ridiculous amounts of blanks between things, but that's what that function does. It still takes how long? It's almost as long as a track to fast forward between a track. Might as well just play it at this rate. So it's pretty slow, but that is quite an amazing little extra feature. So I'm not sure if that's like a Tanashin thing they had as an option, or whether someone's just added this completely to this deck. I'd assume they'd have to. So that lever must just basically go down and it would, but it doesn't cancel play, does it? It just cancels, the fast forward cancels itself basically. So it's not like the same as hitting the stop button. It only releases the fast forward. Or maybe the fast forward doesn't normally, but it, well, that's an interesting point. Can I hold that and, no, I can't go into fast forward without it. Or what if we hold it out? It stays down, it locks. Well, let's go to play. Oh, maybe that's the key. Yeah, no, it doesn't stay down. It neither releases play or stays down unless the solenoid's allowed to hold it down. So that's definitely different to a standard mechanism. Normally pressing the fast forward while play is, yeah, this one doesn't stop it. Let's play a rewind. I wonder if it works in rewind. It sounds like it might, because I notice it flicks that little thing on the solenoid, so it works in both directions. Wow, super snazzy. Problem is I haven't got a spare one of these decks. Well, there you go. So it works in rewind and fast forward. So these don't have the normal latching functions. They latch down in isolation, but if you press play, well, they do that. Well, they latch down with play. Well, only because the solenoid, though. They don't. If you take the solenoid out of the equation, they don't latch. So that's what that feature is. But now I've got a deck that has died here, seemingly due to some electrical issue. It's not something silly because I took the bottom off it. I don't need more of that sort of hassle. Solder joints there look alright. Can't really tell on the back of the board. Looks like we've got our speed setting pots here. Some switching transistors. I'd have to have a look at the manual again. But I think for now that's as far as I'm going with this. I'm kind of getting sick of the sight of it. I thought it'd be a nice quick one to finish the door on. At least it looks the part on the outside, or will do once I give it a bit of a clean. It doesn't look like a busted up piece of junk anymore, even though I'm pretty sure it is a bit of a piece of junk. But the interesting thing about this is that novel feature of the music search. So this again is where a Tanashin catalogue would be really handy to know whether they put out a version with music search built into it. I think they would have had to. I think the fact that the deck doesn't latch without a solenoid to hold it. Must be a factory thing. I don't think some particular maker could add it afterwards. It's kind of ironic for such a rubbishy deck to have an extra feature like that, but that was often the case, I think. They added some extra features to make it seem better quality. Well, it doesn't look too bad now. Almost a bit dirty on there, I guess, with all my fingers all over this gluing it and stuff. I've probably put some fingerprints on the inside of that, but look at it, I'm hoping it was already there. Yeah, it's already looking better. Still got a bit of muck in there. Yeah, never what you'd call a beautiful looking tape deck. It's kind of got that cheap factor about it. But I'm going to give up on that one. Got the worst of it running. I don't know why that deck has decided to play up, but it'll probably end up like that TAC deck where I'm like, oh, why does the direction LED play up? And you spend the rest of the day trying to track down some dodgy switch or something, which I'm not really prepared to do on this one. But we did learn something interesting on this one, so it goes to show every one of these junky old decks has something interesting about it, pretty much. And yeah, we're finding more and more weird features with Tanashin mechs. Even on the cheapo non-auto stock ones, you can actually make them auto-detect gaps in the music and do a music search function, so that is a new one on me. I actually didn't think any of these sort of decks had that function at all, but again, I didn't see that many decks, and the problem is when you're just repairing whatever fault in them, you don't necessarily know of all every single function they have, unless someone's complaining about that function not working. The only other thing I was going to do is just check the length of these belts against some known length ones, because it would be good to know what I checked one belt size but not the other one. I completely forgot about doing these. I'm getting there now. Don't know how stretched they were. That is a 51. Next one looks to be a 54, so it's going to be one of those two, I'd say. Yeah, the 54 is a better fit, I think. So, to be fair, it's almost identical size. So I don't think these were overly stretched, so probably a 54 is the correct size of belt for these. I guess I should really fit one to the deck, but I didn't fancy pulling, well, I ended up pulling one out anyway, didn't I? I could have put one of these in, but sometime I will try that, because it'll be good to know what size belts these Tanashin mechs use, since there's so many of them. Those old belts can go in the rubbish, and I think that thing can just go on the shelf because it's not much good for anything. But I got the worst of it going. I found out what the manual didn't say anything about what these actual switches and stuff in there did, but it's just then when I was playing with it. Of course the camera cut out about that time, but I suddenly realised that if it's play and fast forward, you'd probably something to do with the two of them working in unison, and that even though the solenoid didn't look like it was doing anything, it was probably actually moving a bit the lever and then magnetising the thing. So once it magnetised, because these switches are pressed, it's doing something by being magnetised. It's not that you can press on it, it's that it releases at a certain time, and that's what it was. It just locks this fast forward into place while the play's depressed. We won't be able to do it without the power on the unit, so that's another way of testing it. These definitely don't latch. Now in a normal Tanashin mech of this sort, when you in play and you press one of these, that should clip off. We should have a slide bar, or we do have a slide bar because the stop eject slide bar that releases that should release it when we press those. So they've changed the mech, I don't know about substantially, but to a degree. It must have come from the factory with a different latching setup here. I don't think I've got another one of these decks. I must pull a deck out of one of these type, because I have not got a single one of them loose yet. I haven't actually managed to find something. I should probably rip that one out since it's decided not to work now. And that can be the sacrificial one, just so I've got one. But I don't think I've got a single deck. I can't remember what else actually contained one. Or I would just, yeah, prove that pressing that should release the play. But I'm certain that that's what happens. But anyway, thanks for watching.